have an idea where we're trying to make some improvements and where we're going to be asking for support and help from our friends and alumni of the program. I hope everyone is doing well, and as Allison indicated, it is a blustery day here in Mount Pleasant. We're right on the edge of being snow weather. It's raining hard and about 35 degrees, so we're teetering on the edge. In fact, this morning at senior leadership team, which is all the upper administrators, we had a nice 20-minute presentation on what to do in the event of inclement weather and shutdowns, et cetera, as we approach that time of the year. Unfortunately, the Chips lost their football game last night by 10 points to Western. We lost our rivalry game in the MAC here. But I know, Western just picked the wrong week to try to decide to be a good football team. And so we did drop that game, but we're still 5-5 with a shot at a bowl game. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of games. It's sort of bittersweet for me because if we make a bowl game, I have to scramble to try to find money to send the marching band somewhere. But I also want the team to succeed. So I do have a little bit of a vested interest in one way or the other. So our Alumni Advisory Board had its first meeting on October 13th, Friday the 13th, here on campus in this very room that I'm sitting in now. We had about an 8-hour day. And during that 8 hours, I gave them a complete information session on the state of the college, where we are, what we're wanting to do, and where we would like to go. I briefed them on our strategic planning process, the general finances of the college. I don't go into too much detail because some of that information I need permission to share, but I did go over in great detail our development goals and large projects. We talked about scholarships, and they elected a chair who I just saw is in the waiting room. They elected a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. They will be electing a treasurer probably in the near future, but since they have no money to handle, it wasn't, at this point, it wasn't a very large priority. But I did want to be able to share with you, if you didn't read the message I sent out recently with some of that information, this is the web page that we have created to highlight our new Arts and Media Alumni Board. And there are 14 members in this inaugural board. I'm still waiting on a 15th member who has been invited but had some complications. And I would point you to the email I sent out, which does have a link to this page, to familiarize yourself with the folks who are serving on the board for a 2-year term. They were successful just this last week in finalizing bylaws for this organization, which means that we are official as far as the campus is concerned, which is great. We have a nice mix of people from all the different programs within the college, both historical and the current version of those programs. People from Michigan, people from California. They're sort of all over the map. And all of them are incredibly accomplished and dedicated alums. There were folks who applied. Of course, I had 35 applications in 15 spots that were not selected, but I have asked repeatedly that I hope that they will remain dedicated to helping to serve the college in whatever capacity in anticipation of an appointment on a future board. We have producers, we have academics, we have people like Joe St. Henry, who is in the Oakland County Economic Development Forum. But I wanted to highlight this gentleman, Mr. Danny McWhorters Jr. I think Danny just joined the meeting, but Danny is the chair of our inaugural Alumni Advisory Board. He is a graduate from the graduate program in communication in the college, and currently works as the Assistant Director of Diversity Education in the Office of Institutional Diversity, Equity, Inclusion here at CMU. So a nice way for us to have a board chair who can communicate with me pretty much anytime he wants to. And if I don't respond to an email fast enough, Danny can just walk down to my office and say, hey, why didn't you respond to my email? I'm incredibly excited to have this group of folks joining in their support role. They have already jumped in both feet to start working with me on development projects, on advising with the strategic plan, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And then the board will be free to devise their own goals and projects in consultation with me, of course. Alumni advocacy and alumni mentorship programs are going to be two things that I'm going to be asking the board to lean into in particular. It is important to me that we establish an alumni mentoring network, and also for current students. I would really like to be able to see all of our students take advantage of the experience and the positional authority that many of you have in your current life. It's just as important that they understand that many of you graduated with one degree and then ended up in a field that's related, but not exactly where you may have thought you ended up. And for them to understand that not only is that okay, but that's part of what the training they're receiving while they're here. I believe that this is an incredibly diverse group of individuals, not just from obvious points, but from their background, their life experiences, where they are now currently. We have a great span of time from graduation and attendance years within the college, as far back as 1976 and as current as 2013. So I think it's really excellent that we were able to attract such a talented pool of individuals who are willing to give of their time. And there are many others who are working in different capacities. It is the intention that sooner rather than later that this Alumni Advisory Board will serve as an umbrella organization for all of our alumni boards. They will work in consultation with the New Media Hall of Fame. They will also be working side by side with the BCA, now Media Arts Alumni Advisory Board, and then any other alumni boards or organizations we establish within the college. The idea is to provide some continuity and a clear chain of support from each of those organizations up through the Alumni Advisory Board to myself. And again, I'm really excited about this opportunity and the fact that there was such an overwhelming response. I will say this, of the 35 people who applied, about 80% of them held journalism or BCA degrees. And I had put out the idea that I would like 2 representatives from each of the original 6 academic disciplines, but it became a challenge because I had so many worthy journalism and BCA folks. So I think it ended up about 60-40 journalism, BCA, and then art, music, theater, and communication. Future boards, we will be able to continue that. And again, the bylaws have been established that design election procedures, amendments to the bylaws, the makeup of the executive committee, et cetera, et cetera. Before I move on, does anybody have any questions or comments about the College of the Arts and Media Alumni Advisory Board? Wonderful. Dan, it looks like based on your background that you're about to break into either a monologue or an aria, one of the two. Oh, I can't hear you, Dan.
Yeah, certainly not with my back turned.
Fair point. Fair point. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you and Megan.
Yeah, it's been a few months now, 6 months, I think. Sorry, I'm looking at another screen here. So what's next for the Alumni Advisory Board is that they will start diving into projects that I've already described, and they will start getting to know each other a little bit more. They'll finalize some projects homework that I've given to them, and then I will be meeting with the executive committee prior to their next virtual meeting. I believe the decision they made last week was 2 in-person meetings a year, which was a requirement that I provided, and then a minimum of 2 virtual meetings as well. And then the executive committee will meet as necessary to either meet with me to convey information or to handle board business to take back to the board at large. So it's a very active group already. And again, that excites me. This last Saturday was a tremendous event that we held here on campus, the inaugural Media Hall of Fame, formerly Journalism Hall of Fame. I was approached last fall by Chad Livengood, an alum from the Department of Journalism, about possibly bringing back the Hall of Fame, but embracing the spirit of the new school and including BCA and communication alums into this new format. Of course, I agreed and supported it 100%. And with the help of staff from 3 different areas on campus, including the Office of Alumni Relations, Development, the School of Communication, Journalism, and Media, and then my office, representatives and committee members from alums from those units put together an absolutely spectacular ceremony. And in fact, I'm counting 2 people in this room right now who were honored on Saturday evening. Christina and Joe were there and honored. It was a wonderful, wonderful ceremony. I was beaming with pride, to be honest with you, on behalf of you as the inductees and the people who put everything together. It was very touching to hear your intros. It was touching to hear your acceptance speeches, but more importantly, just looking around the room at what essentially was 40 years of graduates from these programs reconnecting, getting to see each other, sharing stories about, going out in the mobile rig and recording football games in the rain when you weren't even supposed to be in the mobile rig, and all the different experiences that you shared while you were students here. All of those things really helped me. It really helps me connect a lot of dots on what it was like for you here, what things you found most important that you carried with you after you graduated, and how much you hope and want to make sure that current students have similar kinds of experiences, that they learn that teamwork, they generate those friendships, they get those experiences. And in general, it was just an amazing event. 152 people were there for that event in the University of Rotunda. President Davies was in attendance as well. We had a really wonderful introduction for one of our inductees by Lester Holt of NBC Nightly News. It was just a fun event all the way around. And I'm looking forward to future events as well. It was also fun for me to have a professor emeriti, who was Dr. Joe, being one of the inductees as well. I think those kinds of things are incredibly important, that the people who helped shape our lives, both as students and professionals, are recognized as such. I am hoping that within the calendar year, we will have the new digital touchscreen display on the 4th floor. Next to where all the Journalism Hall of Fame plaques are now, we want to put in a beautiful touchscreen display to put in new award winners, plus archive all of the award winners from the past with video clips, bios, information about that individual. It's a great way to provide interactive experience to celebrate all of the award winners without always taking up an entire hallway of plaques and panels, although we will still do that. So we have some really nice plans to continue doing that. So what else is going on in CAM? We have a lot going on. We're in the middle of what we're calling reimagining the curriculum. And that starts with the new School of Communication, Journalism, and Media, but it is not exclusive to that program. We have a brand new commercial music degree. Technically, it's its 2nd year. We haven't even had time to put together an advertising and marketing plan for that degree, and we have 25 students enrolled in it. 19 of whom enrolled this year. So it's growing by leaps and bounds. The School of Music has 2 new hires coming in their school, and working with me, they are making sure that whoever they hire can teach in that commercial music degree, so that we're prepped for growth that we anticipate. It wouldn't be surprising me to see 50 majors in that degree program by the end of next year, which would be a huge boost to the School of Music and the school in general, because a lot of these students are taking classes in audio production and media arts as well. So everyone gets to share in the celebration a little bit. The Arts Administration degree program that I have talked about a few times passed its first hurdle this last week. We had the degree approved by the Academic Planning Council, which is a group of faculty, all of the deans, 4 upper-level administrators, and a few staff members who review new programs for viability, cost, and the ability for us to actually make good on the enrollment targets that we've provided. And it passed unanimously from that committee. So next step, we'll be preparing it for Academic Senate review. We don't anticipate any problems. through the Academic Senate review. And then once that review is complete, we will draft a job description and post a job search to have a tenure track hire placed into the Arts Administration degree program, who will help design all the courses and then advise and shepherd students through the degree program. I think if you've been on these meetings before, you know that this is something that's important to me. I believe it provides opportunity for students who have an affinity for the arts, but maybe know they're never going to end up on stage. Maybe they know they can't be technical theater people, but their love and passion for the arts is sincere. And this is a route for them to take leadership roles in our arts organizations, for profit and not for profit. This leads to a path. There in the state of Michigan is a projected 8% job growth in this particular field. Nationally, that's a little bit higher at 11.5%. So there are jobs available. And I believe that that number is actually higher because arts administration as a field is only about 10 years old in terms of degree programs. And so all of the SIT, which is a job code data, doesn't really encapsulate where these positions are available. And I talk to a lot of these people in the arts organizations all the time, and the same path kept happening. Really great artist has leadership thrust upon them, and now all of a sudden they're in charge of some theater company or symphony orchestra or art gallery, or they're running box office, and they have no idea. They've never actually done those things before, but they were great actors or great directors, and so they just got thrust into the role. And now they have to learn about budgets, and they have to learn about tax code, and they have to learn about dealing with unions and negotiations and community relations and marketing plans. So that's what we're doing. We're taking on that role of training the next generation and beyond of leaders in arts organizations who will have a strong business foundation, because we're designing this degree in cooperation with the College of Business Administration. And they will have the arts background, and they will have arts leadership background in development, fundraising, community programming, all of the things that we know people need to have. There will be 2 internships required with this degree, a half semester and a full semester. And so we're already working on developing those partnerships in the state of Michigan and beyond. I've done one of these degrees before. I developed one of these degrees at a previous institution, and without even advertising it, we had 10 students the first year major in that degree, and we had another 15 the next year sign up for it. So I'm very confident that this will be a very successful program. And here's the best part. If you're a theater major or a music major or an art major, we're going to pitch you that you should be taking these classes as electives within your degree, or you sign up for a minor in arts administration to go along with your performance degree, your acting degree, your costume design degree, whatever it might be, so that you are prepared for anything in your field when you get out, not just stage work or behind the scenes work, but also if you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be ready for that. You're going to know and be confident in your knowledge of preparing a marketing plan and a business plan because you've had that training. If you get offered an opportunity to go to a leadership position, you're not going to have to learn on the fly and hope for the best. You're going to have confidence of going into those roles as an alternative. And I keep reminding people, I did not start out saying, I'm going to be a dean one day, or I'm going to be the chair of a music department one day. It just happened. And I had to learn on the fly. I had to learn about everything that I already talked about that I'm trying to help. I want to make sure that we help people out with in their careers. So I really believe that this is going to provide opportunity for current students, for students who are going to pursue those art, theater, and music degrees, and also museum studies. And then the students who maybe have an affinity for business, but know they want a life surrounded by arts. And by extension, we're going to make our arts organizations stronger, and we're going to make them more sustainable by having leaders with experience in those positions, qualified to do the work and confident that they know how to lead those works or those organizations. Lastly, the Presentation Skills Center came online again this fall. We have fully incorporated virtual reality technology into the Presentation Skills Center. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a support center in the library for students who need help developing oral presentation skills. They don't have to be in a comm class to take advantage of this facility. In fact, almost half of the kids that go in there are business majors. They go in there because they're afraid to talk to a boardroom. and they know they're going to have to do that one day. And so they go into the presentation skills center, and I've used it myself. It's a lot of fun. It is very helpful. It provides about 7 different metrics of feedback through the computer. And then you also get a personal session with one of the staff in the presentation skills center when your turn on the virtual headset is complete. You can talk to a conference room, a boardroom, a classroom. You can talk to a concert hall if you want to. And using GPT and artificial intelligence, you can even set it up to do a job interview, either one-on-one or with a panel of people. So you get a feeling for what's the pacing of a job interview, what kind of questions are going to be asked in a job interview. Again, we can't account for every possibility, but it certainly does a good job of honing those skills and giving someone an opportunity to try it out. And then, of course, outside of the virtual reality technology, many of the things the PSC was doing in the past still remain. The one-on-one consultation, having students get the opportunity to work with the staff and the faculty that run the Presentation Skills Center. The other part of the PSC is that I have charged them with developing online courses and in-person courses to work with local businesses and community organizations who would like to have their people develop their own presentation skills and oral communication skills. And it's a way for us to generate revenue because these companies would pay to have their employees come and take these classes and seminars and get the counseling. But it's also a way for us to engage the community and develop partnerships throughout the way. In fact, one of our alumni advisory board members has already contacted the PSC in order to hire Leslie Withers, the director, to develop a very specific presentation skills format for his company, employees in his company. So it's those kinds of relationships that we're going to continue to develop. And it's great that it's starting with an alum. That certainly helps us out a little bit. But I have high hopes for the PSC and what it's going to bring, not just to CMU, but to the college in terms of visibility, the use of technology. As far as we can tell, we're one of only 2 schools in the state that are using this technology in this manner for oral skills presentation. So as soon as they get all their computer equipment set up and ready to go for all of the stations, we're going to start marketing the heck out of it, especially since AI is the buzzword, right? We're going to make sure that we're taking advantage of that timeliness. There are some other projects I have in the works that I'm not really prepared to talk about in detail, but I will say this. One of the elements of this college that I have been surprised that hasn't gotten more attention and hasn't been developed more is the Lem Tucker Scholarship. If you're not aware of Lem Tucker, I encourage you to look him up. He was an incredible force in journalism and broadcasting, and his legacy in name and in his accomplishments lives on within our college. We have a scholarship named after Lem Tucker, and it is a full ride scholarship. It is one of the largest, most comprehensive scholarships on the campus of CMU, not just within the College of the Arts and Media. And students are selected for this. It's a 4-year scholarship. It is a full ride, not full tuition, full ride. All expenses are paid through this scholarship. And I have been concerned and a little unhappy that we're not advertising this degree or this program, this scholarship. We don't really put a spotlight on the students who receive the scholarship. We don't do anything during their time on campus to support them or provide extra programming while they're here. And then once they graduate, we have no special recognition, honor, or opportunity for any of them. And that's going to change. I have a proposal that I have developed. It's in the provost's office right now. I know she supports it. We're just hammering out some details. But I am moving forward with what I am calling the Lem Tucker Scholars Program, which will provide programming and support for the students who are on campus with a dedicated advisor from either the Department of Journalism or from Media Arts, who will help provide special programming, bringing guest artists to work with them one-on-one, giving them opportunities to interact with alums who are Lem Tucker Scholars. It's really important to me that we provide a framework here that really highlights how important it is to have been chosen for this award and how important Mr. Tucker was. And so this is my newest project, and I'm hoping in January I'll be able to make a more formal announcement with all the details for what's going to happen, who the advisor will be, all of those things. It's one more way for us to highlight alumni accomplishments and for us to highlight student achievement and accomplishments. And I really hope that it'll make the difference that I'm intending that it will. So, advocacy and accolades. This is what I need from all the alums. You, all of your colleagues, anyone you talk to that's an alum, I need advocacy. I need you to share the good news about CAM, our programs, our momentum, what we got going on, the new School of Communication, Journalism, and Media. If you follow our social media, which if you do, you should notice we have ramped up the number of posts that are coming out of the college at this point. We put together a list of 145 posts back in September, and we haven't even gotten through those, and we have another 100 behind it now. So we're going to start doubling how many posts we make. This was something I challenged all of the departments and my own staff with this year, was making sure that we were constant in our presence. Some of them are still ramping it up, but the college office is definitely getting things out as much as we can. Share it, add to it, retweet it, or re-exit, I guess. Whatever it is you can do, if you feel comfortable doing it, is certainly helpful. For example, Cabaret opens tonight. It's the Department of Theater's first main stage production, and it is the first main stage production with the brand new lighting and sound systems in Bush Theater. We did over a $2 million renovation to the lighting and sound in Bush to bring it into the 21st century. And it's not just new light bulbs, it's the control panels, the electricity, everything about lighting and sound has been completely revamped. It's more flexible, it's directional, it allows for very quick changes. We don't have to constantly climb up on rigging and change gels because the lights themselves can change colors now. Plus blends, it's so much better in every possible way. And so I'm going tomorrow night to the show, and I'm excited just to experience the sound and the lighting. If any of you have been to a show in the last 5 or 10 years, you probably know that the sound in there was not so great. It was definitely showing its age. So this is going to be an exciting way to open this. The show's directed by Keely Stanley Bone, the current chair of the Department of Theater and Dance. And again, I'm very excited about that. Summer Theater, we are about to send out a fundraising item to alums of theater and dance. Larry Joe Campbell is doubling down on his efforts to bring attention to both the endowment and the operating fund for Summer Theater. And Keely and I are already brainstorming ways to essentially make Summer Theater more sustainable without cutting anything. In fact, we're thinking about expanding some things in terms of the number of performances, using one of the shows in the summertime to generate some revenue that would go into this fund and help cover operating costs. We want to do our part too. But Larry Joe Campbell, like me, believes that summer theater is a unique opportunity in the state of Michigan for students to experience what a real operating theater company is like, where they're managing their own money, building their own sets, making their own decisions, and traveling around and doing the show. And I want to lean into the fact that we're the only school our size in the state of Michigan doing this. I want this to be seen as a differentiator for our college, which it is. So if you're a graduate of the Department of Theater and Dance, you're going to get a letter soon, probably in the mail. But take a look at it, and I'd appreciate any feedback you have, by the way, about that. Accolades, that's where social media comes in. We are desperately trying to get the word out about how many amazing things are happening in this college on a weekly basis. It really is almost hard to keep up with. From our end on how many things there are to share: student accomplishments, faculty accomplishments, alumni accomplishments, just in general. So what's the health of the college? Financially, we're stable. Enrollment, we grew a little bit this year. We went up about 3% of overall enrollment in the college, not campus, college. That's actually a big deal that we went up. Other schools in the MAC have continued declining enrollment. CMU is stable in terms of our enrollment, with pockets of increases. College of Business Administration is going through the roof with their enrollment. Their master's degree program has doubled in size in 1 year. We are looking at incremental growth while we're in the process of developing some of that new curriculum and degree programs, and that's fine. Incremental growth is better than incremental decline. So I gave them a target of 5% growth for next year. And I mean my college faculty and staff and department chairs and admissions. Truth be told, if we had another 3% year, that's fantastic. 3% year over year, we can build on that really easily. Financially, we took a small budget cut in the spring semester. And small is a relative term, of course. It was a 3.2% cut to the college, which we were able to cover with some positions that had been vacant and with some reserves that I had held back in the college, anticipating a small cut. It so far this year does not look like we will have any budget cuts. It looks like that we will actually generate revenue in the college for the first time in 7 years. So that will be a huge boon because that provides me revenue to put back into faculty initiatives, into student learning. I want to be able to set aside $15,000 a year out of the college budget for student travel to conferences and events. I'd like to provide a way to subsidize trips that faculty want to take them on that I believe they need to be doing, with a long-term goal of an endowment for international travel for students as well. I would like to be able to recruit students and tell them, if you come to CAM at CMU, we will be able to subsidize by 50% a study abroad class at least once in your 4 years at CMU. So that's a long-term goal for me. I'm a big believer in international education. I did study abroad when I was a student. I taught study abroad when I was a faculty member. And then as a musician, I've been fortunate enough to travel all over the world and meet so many wonderful people in so many different places. And I'll share this with you. Growing up a child of the 80s, and with the Soviet Union being the bad guys my entire life, I was a little nervous when I went to a 3-week trip in Russia. I really didn't know what to expect. I spent time in Moscow, St. Petersburg, and then in a remote location called Petrozavodsk up near the Finnish border. And you could have knocked me over with a feather with how welcoming and warm and wonderful these people were that I had been basically taught to be afraid of my entire life. Now, as an adult, I wouldn't say I was afraid of them, but I was really interested to see what it would be like. I really want our students to have those kinds of experiences. I want them to be able to go meet people from another country, to know what the Sistine Chapel smells like on the inside, which if you've been there in the summertime in Italy, it doesn't actually smell very good. It's actually rather stinky and sweaty. A lot of people crammed into a small space that doesn't have air conditioning. But nonetheless, it's important to me that we be able to find a way to reduce the costs for students to have those experiences, especially for students who come from families where that's just not a realistic possibility. I know for a fact, when I went on my study abroad, I worked 40 hours a week for 6 months, and my parents were chipping in half too, and I knew they didn't really have it. So it meant a lot to me to be able to have that experience. I want to be able to make sure our students have that too. If Keely wants to take 6 really promising students to New York City in January for A1s, I want her to be able to do that and the kids not have to worry about, man, I got to take out more loans. I don't know if I can do this, and have to turn it down because they don't have funding for it. If an art history professor says, I have an opportunity to take 6 students to the Guggenheim to work with this renowned art historian, I want them to be able to do that. And those are the kinds of experiences that will separate us and attract new students, really good students, to CMU and to CAM. And it's within our reach. We just have to have a plan. So that's what we're working on as far as that's concerned. Now, what are the big ideas and big dollar amounts? I've shared a little bit of this before, and I'll go ahead and I'm a big believer. No one knows what you want unless you tell them what you want. And so I'm telling people what I want. We need a dance studio built behind Bush Theater. We need dance studies to be connected to the rest of the theater department. If you're not aware, dance studies is in the Student Activity Center, which is a 15-minute walk from the Department of Theater in good weather, let alone the weather we're having today, and then 15 minutes back, which means scheduling for dance students is real difficult. They can't schedule back-to-back classes with their dance classes because of the time it takes to get from one place to the other, right? We have to share that facility, and we are constantly being pressured by other units about needing that space. It needs renovation. I don't have money to renovate it, to be honest with you, so I'm trying to get facilities to do it. But more importantly than geography, it's the camaraderie that comes with having everybody in one spot. And needing new upgraded facilities with great floors and multiple rooms for rehearsal instead of the one that we currently have for both the theater department and the dance program. That's a real challenge. And so I'm putting it out there that that's one of our goals. I'm looking for someone to name the School of Music. We have an amazing building with an amazing school. I'm looking for naming rights. University Art Gallery. I'm looking for an interested party to name the University Art Gallery. That all of these naming opportunities come with endowments that help operating expenses. They provide research funding. They provide travel funds. They provide all sorts of opportunities. Endowed professorships are on the table. I don't think most donors or alums or even current faculty really understand endowed professorships, but you'll see from time to time someone is these, John and Jane Doe chair of business administration. That means a family has given a gift, usually a substantial gift, and the money from that endowment either pays for or offsets the salary of that faculty line, which means that college has that money originally assigned to the faculty line back into the college budget for something else. So every time we have a named opportunity or we have an endowment of a professorship, that's generating tremendous amounts of revenue that we can turn around and use for other good things, whether that's travel or student support or scholarships. We can really move a lot of money around once we have a secure source for something else. I need equipment, and I need updated facilities in media arts. They deserve some updated facilities because they are working so hard. They are growing their enrollment. Their alums have achieved so much. So we're starting with the audio production suite. Technically, it's a post-production suite is what we will be looking for. And I'm currently soliciting alums and interested parties for a donation to support the design. I have to pay someone to design what this studio would look like, post-production studio. So these are things that we're starting with right now. And again, I don't expect one of you in this room right now to go, oh yeah, I can write you a check for $3 million. Who do I make it out to? But if I don't tell anybody what it is that we need, no one's going to know, and they're going to assume everything's fine. So I'm working with development. They've seen this list, and it's a much longer list than what I just gave you. I was surprised that they didn't look at me like I was nuts when I sent it to them. Allison, Christine, and Megan, who are in this room right now, have seen the list, and they may think I'm nuts, but like I said, it doesn't hurt to let everybody know what your intentions are and what you plan on doing with it. And I do want to be clear. None of the fundraising we do goes into any kind of account for me, because my schools are doing that. The schools I graduated from are sending me things saying, oh, you should donate to the dean's discretionary fund. I was like, I don't want to donate money so the dean can go spend money on stuff. I want it to go towards the programs, to students, and equipment. That's all I care about. If I need to travel, I can pay for it on my own. I don't need you to put money into an account for me to do that. Either that or I'll go to President Davies. I mean, he's ultimately, all money is Bob's money, right? So if I need it, that's where I'll go. Scholarships and equipment are always going to be high on the list. And one of the things that we want to make sure that we're doing is providing a way for students, particularly students from low income families, to make sure they get the same opportunities that the students whose families are a little better off have. I'm one of those kids. I'm first gen. My parents were blue collar workers. Me going to college was iffy at best, and I only got to go because of scholarships. It was the only reason I even went to college, is because I got an academic scholarship and then I got a music scholarship, and that's what allowed me to go. Otherwise, I would have been a Marine. I was all gung ho in joining the Marines. In fact, the day that I was supposed to sign my enlistment letter, a scholarship letter showed up in the mail, and it's the only reason I did not end up becoming a Marine. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that those were the two choices I had for after high school. I would like to make sure that students who come here all have the same chance to do things. That, because you probably don't know this, but there is actually a hunger crisis on college campuses. We have a lot of kids on campus everywhere in the country who don't know where their next meal is coming from. And we have a food pantry and they have to use it. And it's great that we have the food pantry, but how much better would it be if we could just lower the cost of attendance through scholarships and subsidies and then they could buy their own food with the jobs that they're already working. So those types of things are very important to me. I worked all the way through college. It was a challenge as a music major, between rehearsals and trying to carve out practice time and taking gigs and everything else. But I want to do everything I can to try to provide opportunity for students along the way. Okay, I made it through my list. There's 20 minutes left. Comments, concerns, questions? I'm still super fired up about this place, if you can't tell. There's nothing but potential ahead of us here. So I'm just trying to actualize it as much as I can. Hello, newly inducted Media Hall of Fame member.
Hi, great report. Enjoying this meeting. A couple questions. So you mentioned about sharing on social media all the different, pieces that are coming out, the posts and whatever, the announcements. Where can we get a copy of all the different social media pages and the links and who's administering them and all of that? Is there one person who handles that for the entire university, or has it been delegated out to the different schools, colleges, I should say?
So each college has at least one high-level social media person who's responsible for everything that goes out. For us, it's Bree Ring, and I can send you her contact information.
Okay.
Bree is our marketing and social media person, and she's also the graphic designer for the college. Anything you see that comes out of the college, Bree has designed it, including all of the Media Hall of Fame stuff that was there on Saturday as well. She did all of that.
Yeah.
And then each department has a social media manager as well, and those feed into Bree, and then the university pulls from each of the college, what they call them collaborators here. Each of the college collaborators feed into the university.
Okay.
But I can put you in touch with Bree.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah.
The thing I was thinking about, and I was just going to send you an email, but since we're in the meeting, for the Hall of Fame, is there any plan to send out post-event media releases, for example? Each honoree has a hometown, has a current city. There's just a lot of, individual based opportunities to publicize. And of course, it helps the school. So I don't know
that's a great
if the
idea.
committee is handling that, or do you know what the plan is?
I do know that the committee has a post-show meeting tomorrow. So I'll mention it to Heather Polinsky. Well, Allison's here. She can convey that. Hello. Thanks, Allison. That's a great idea, though. And that's an easy lift. That's easy for us to do. Yeah.
And it probably should be done soon, because it'll be old news pretty soon.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, Allison, I'd be happy to work with you on that, and whatever I can do to pull things together.
Thank you so much. Yes, I know Chad Livengood has been working on a lot of that. So I will go ahead and share with the committee and just make sure that we are taking care of that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Great. What else are we going to ask? The other question, Dean, I wanted to mention to you, even though I did not put my hat in the ring for the alumni board, but I'm really happy that you had such a tremendous outpouring of interested alums, to work in it. But how can I serve in some capacity? I'm not really sure who's handling what. And, I would like to represent the PR part of the school in terms of helping with anything related to publicity or organizing. I'm really not sure how I can help, but I just wanted to put it out there too, that I want to help.
Well, first of all, I appreciate that, especially with your 2.5 decades experience in Los Angeles County.
Right.
Daniel McWaters Jr. was sitting, he was in this meeting. I'll put you in touch with him. He's chair of the board, and he certainly has ideas on how to include others who are not board members but want to be involved. And I will contact you also directly because I'm willing to take advice and direction as well.
Sure. Yeah, whatever I can help. I'm here. So that would be great. That'd be great. I'd really like to get involved.
Thank you for the offer, and we're going to use you. So
no, that's fine. I'm offering it up. I just I wasn't able, due to some personal circumstances this time around, I wasn't able to put my hat in the ring for the board, but maybe in the future I can do that too, but it doesn't matter. I like working, so just put me to work.
You got it. Thank you.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
You bet. Andrea and John end up.
Hey, thanks always, Dean Campbell. These are just such fun hours to sit in on. You know, you were saying you need us to like help spread the word. And a thought I had was of going to our local high school and going to the theater department and telling them about the great experience that we had, maybe sitting in on a theater class, and then saying how central everybody gets in-state tuition. So
Yeah.
people should really consider that. I'm in Arizona, but so if everybody on the call or anybody just spread that word, might be an idea.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for bringing it back to that, because I did mean to mention that, and I just blew right past it because I was thinking about something else. That right now is probably the #1 piece of leverage we have in recruiting and advocacy, is that Central Michigan University has in-state tuition for every state in the United States. Doesn't matter where they are in the US, they get in-state tuition at CMU, which is just under $12,000 a year right now, which is third lowest in the state of Michigan. But believe me, it is far lower than many other states in-state tuition is. And so we are really leaning hard into the in-state tuition part of what we have to offer. But yes, if you have that natural connection or opportunity to engage with high school teachers in particular, because of course they're teaching high school kids, that's a great avenue to help with the advocacy and leaning into this in-state tuition, you know, throwing yourself in there as alums who, you know, we've been very successful thanks to this program. Here are some names of other people who have come through that program if you're interested. You know, 9 times out of 10, students find out about our programs and our quality and opportunity through casual conversations that we didn't even think about when they happened. You know, you're talking to a family friend who has kids that are getting ready to go to college, or maybe their kids are going to college, and you just mentioned, oh yeah, my time at Central, you know, I got to do all of these things. It put me on the path for this career. I know they're still doing amazing things, and they have in-state tuition for everybody. A lot of times that's enough, because you just planted that seed, and at the very least, they're going to look at our website and find out more. So, you know, from what's the least that can be done to how much you want to engage is a pretty broad spectrum. But Andrea, what you just suggested would be an easy way to do that. Now, I actually came up with an idea based off of something Joe St. Henry, who's one of our board members, does every year with the Oakland County Economic Development Commission. They do this job fair essentially, and it's based on professions. And so, you know, they have plumbers and electricians and firefighters and nurses and doctors, and all of these professions show up. And it's not like they're job recruiting specifically to a company. It's for the field. They're pitching their field. And so I'm going to talk to Joe about, well, can I ask, can we get a booth and have someone from one of our alums from the Detroit News there to recruit journalism as a field, but also CMU. They can tell people, oh yeah, I'm a journalism grad from CMU. I work at the Detroit News or Press or wherever they are. And, you know, they were wearing their CMU button. All of those types of things, again, add up. Recruiting is not one big thing. I'm in so many recruiting meetings where I have to, you know, everybody wants to latch on to whatever the new flavor of the month way of recruiting is in higher education, and they want to pour a ton of money and time at it. And I keep telling them that will work for 1 year. What are we going to do next year? Because recruiting is not just big splashes and big events. It's a whole series of smaller things that have been put into place on purpose. You have a region that you're targeting first, and then you're expanding from that as you build a reputation. I've been doing this for 25 years with recruitment as a bassoon teacher, and then a department chair, and then associate dean, and as a dean. And all the information I have points to the same thing. The students need someone in their life telling them that that school is the place they think they should go. That's it. It all comes down to the same thing. If a college or a university has all of the same things as another one, it's all going to boil down to who is the one giving the message that CMU is the right place for you because XYZ. Typically, it's a teacher. Teachers are incredibly influential on the choice of where a student goes to college because they're their teachers. There's a relationship of trust already built there between the student and the teacher. And so if the teacher makes that recommendation, it has tremendous weight. In the surveys I used to do, 80% students said, 80% of the students said that a teacher in their school was the reason they chose the school that they went to. That's a tremendous number. And when you're dealing with 17 and 18-year-olds, I mean, trying to predict what next year's decision-making is going to be like, or which social media platform they're going to be using the most, or where the money is best spent for advertising, man, you're chasing your tail there for eternity. I mean, there are things you can do and that we do and we need to do, but the relationship and the advocacy are the two things that pay the biggest dividends and cost the least. They are the least expensive way for us to get students to come here. Now we're expanding. I forgot to mention this. In the spring, we're hosting the National Forensics Association National Tournament. This is the first time in 21 years CMU has hosted the event. We have anywhere between 800 to 1,000 students and their families coming to campus that weekend. So it's Thursday through Monday. And this is the first of these that we are planning on doing, these types of events. CAM is going to be a hub in the state of Michigan for these types of events. We are dedicated to this, and this is showing our intention of it. It's going to end up costing us probably $12,000 to put this on, but we'll make that back in registration fees. So it should turn out to be a relatively zero-sum game to get in front of 1,000 kids. No other college is allowed to be here and advertise. We have sole marketing during this for the entire year. National Forensics Association is promoting CAM on their website, CMU on their website, and all of their printed materials, and at all their gatherings and smaller tournaments. So we essentially got a year's worth of national advertising for nothing by hosting this tournament. Plus, we have the opportunity to engage with students on our campus for 4 days and their families. So these types of events are going to be more and more important. We're already doing it in music. Music hosts 4 or 5 events a year, each one of them with 500 to 600 students a year. It's the reason why music's enrollment is strong. They've got a pattern. So again, advocacy and getting the word out on what's going on here. We're just way too Midwestern internally. We don't want to brag. We got to brag. There's a lot to brag about. Now, we don't have to be egotistical. That's too far. All the Midwesterners will definitely be upset at that. You got to remember, I moved here from Minnesota, and the Lutherans don't brag about anything. I mean, it's just like everything is low key and, oh, yeah, we did that thing. Yeah. That's about it. What else? Anybody else have any other questions, comments, concerns?
Jefferson, I shared the directory for the social media accounts. I can include that in the email. Well, I'll send a follow-up email with a survey and the link to the recording. I'll include that as well. So it's for the entire university, but obviously I'll throw that in there.
Awesome. Yeah, lots of good stuff going on around here. And of course, we're in production season. So from now until December 10th, there's shows pretty much nonstop in one of the theaters or performance spaces. There's an art gallery exhibition happening right now. Just Media Rocks was last Friday. We had 120 media high school students here. That was great. Wonderful. Well, as always, thank you so much for taking time to sit with me and listen to all the stuff I had to say. I am always happy to receive comments or suggestions. Many of the things I hear from alums end up becoming actionable items, including the new School of Communication, Journalism, and Media. That was a collaborative effort there. So don't be shy or afraid to send me comments, suggestions, or critique. I've got thick skin. You're not going to offend me, and you're not out of line at all by doing so. I assume alums are as invested in this as I am. And CMU and CAM's success only increases the value of that stock certificate you call a degree. So I am happy to help push the market. Thank you all. And until the next time, take care of yourselves and fire up chips.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.